Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So, some of you may know that I have an Annabelle doll on my channel. The video is 3 years old and I just don't like it anymore. So I think I've chosen to redo the Annabelle video and I've made some changes. This is a Red Heart Comfort Black. This is a Craft Smart Red. This is a Craft Smart White. Craft Smart Value, Super Value, or whatever. For the skin color, I'm using this brunette, worsted, off-white. And Loops and Threads Impeccable Clear Blue. And that's just for the shirt. For my original doll, I used 2 different kinds of reds, but I'm not doing it for this one. I am using a 5mm H hook. Let's jump right into this. So this is going to be broken down in parts, but I'm not doing I'm doing chapters through YouTube, but I'm not actually putting chapter 2, chapter 3. You're just going to have to go in the description box and click on what you want. So you want to build a body, you want to build an arm, you want to build a leg. Just click on it and it'll take you to that part of the video. I figure that's a lot easier for everybody. So we're going to start with the basics. Just building the body and the head. PDF users. Channel membership. If you join my channel membership, you will have access to all my PDFs. So PDF users, you're going to have to scroll down. We're starting with the body and the head. So you're going to need this off-white color or whatever color your skin color is going to be. And we're going to make a magic ring of 8 single crochets. If you don't like the magic ring, you can do a chain 2 and then put everything into the first stitch. So this is being built in amigurumi, which means there's no slip stitching, there's no chaining, but you will need a stitch marker. So we dive right into our next stitch. Our next round is going to be 2 single crochets in each stitch. So after the first stitch, that's where your marker goes, and then stitch number 2 can follow in that same space. 2 single crochets in each stitch around will give you a total of 16 stitches. So pull your middle close. We're going to weave this in on our next round so it doesn't pop back open. So your next round is going to be 1 single crochets and an increase. This will bring it up to 24 stitches. So that's my 1 single crochet. And my next stitch will get the increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. And repeat. So your next round is going to be 2 single crochets and an increase. That's number 1. Your marker is always number 1. That's number 2. And then this next stitch gets the increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. And repeat. This will give you a total of 32 stitches. Your next round is just going to be 1 single crochet in each of these 32 stitches. So your next round is going to be 3 single crochets and an increase. This will bring you up to 40 stitches. That's number 1 with your marker. That's 3 single crochets, and then your next stitch will get the increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. And repeat. So your next round is going to be 4 single crochets and an increase, and this will bring it up to 48 stitches. That's number 1. That's 4 single crochets, so your next stitch will get the increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. And repeat. So you should have 48 stitches. For the next round, round 7, you're just going to do 1 single crochet in each of these 48 stitches. So we're going to increase one more time, and then we're going to go into just straight rows. Your last increase is going to be 5 single crochets and an increase, and this will bring it up to 56 stitches. That's number 1 with the marker. That's 5 single crochets, so your next stitch will get the increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. And repeat. So for the next 10 rows, you're going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 56 stitches. And I will see you on the other side. So that is my 10 rows. That's what you should have. So we're going to start decreasing now. We're going to do a 5 single crochet decrease. This will bring it down to 48 stitches. That's number 1. That's 5 single crochets. So you have 2 options for decreases. You've got your regular one where you go into the full stitch, pull up a loop, go into the second full stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through all 3. Or you have the invisible decrease, which is done in the front loop. So first front loop, pop around to the second front loop, then you yarn over, pull through those 2, yarn over, and finish the stitch. The reason it's referred to as invisible is because you've left these back loops behind there, so it cuts down on the amount of gaps that you get with a regular decrease. You can choose whichever one you want to do. Either way, it's going to be 5 single crochets and a decrease. So you should have 48 stitches. Your next round is just going to be 1 single crochet in each of those 48 stitches. So your next round is going to be 4 single crochets and a decrease. Let's bring it down to 40 stitches. Whoops. The marker's number 1. That's 4 single crochets. And then your decrease. And repeat. So your next round is going to be 1 single crochet in each of these 40 stitches. So your next round is going to be 3 single crochets and a decrease. You can start stuffing this at any time now. That's number 1. That's 3 single crochets, and then your next stitch is, next 2 stitches is the decrease. I almost did an increase for some stupid reason. And repeat. So your next round is going to be 1 single crochet in each of these 32 stitches. But I think I'm going to start stuffing mine before I do this round. Alrighty. So your next decrease row is going to be 2 single crochets and a decrease. This will bring you down to 24 stitches. So that is my 24 stitches. For the next 4 rows, I just want you to put 1 single crochet in each of these 24 stitches. And I will see you on the other side. So this is my 4 rows all done. And now we go back into our decreases. So we're going to do 1 single crochet decrease. That's 1 single crochet. And then our decrease. So this will bring you down to 16 stitches. So I'm going to stuff mine again. So after you stuff it, this is what it should look like. It should look like kind of a squished in teardrop shape. She's not overly fat, but I mean, so the next 2 rows are going to be like her neck, because we're going to be starting the head. Like, she's not a very big doll, but she gets bigger when we add all the clothes. So for the next 2 rows, you're just going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 16 stitches. Maybe. And then when we come back, we're going to start the head. This is the end of my 2 rows. So this is my neck. Let's make sure this is full enough. Probably not going to have a wobbly head because we don't have a huge neck. But just make sure it's stuffed pretty good, because the last thing you need is a wobbly neck. So this is it, and we're going to start the head. So the head begins with 2 single crochets in each stitch. So we go from having 16 stitches to having 32 stitches. After your first stitch, that's when the marker goes in, and then the second stitch can follow. 2 single crochets in each stitch around will give you 32 stitches. So that's what it should look like. Your next round is going to be 1 single crochets and an increase, and this will make it quite squishy and wavy. So don't worry about that, it's supposed to happen. That's 1 single crochet, and then your next stitch gets increase. This will bring it up to 48 stitches. So it should be all wavy and look funny, and that's exactly what we want. So for the next 6 rows, you're going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 48 stitches. And if you're struggling to find them, don't be afraid to pull your stitches apart. Everything will go back into shape. 1 single crochet in each of these 48 stitches for the next 6 rows, and I will see you on the other side. So this is the end of my 6 rows. Should have 48 stitches still. Your next round is going to be 4 single crochets and a decrease, and this will bring you down to 40 stitches. Your next round is just going to be 1 single crochet in each of these 40 stitches. So your next round is going to be 3 single crochets and a decrease, and this will bring you down to 32 stitches. That's number 1, number 2, and 3, and then your decrease. So for the next round, you're just going to do 1 single crochet in each of these 32 stitches. Alright, so we're going to do 1 more row, or no, 2 more rows, and then we're going to put our eyes in. So this first one is going to be 2 single crochets and a decrease, and this will take you down to 24 stitches. That's number 1, that's 2, and then your decrease. And then I'm going to want you to follow this up with a row of 1 single crochet in each stitch. That'll both be on my pause screen, and I'll see you on the other side. So that's the end of both of my rounds. 2 single crochet decrease and then a 1 single crochet in each stitch. We need to put our eyes in so we can put backs on, so we don't have to get I keep gluing my eyes in because I always skip this part because it is a little bit difficult to gauge where your eyes go. So let's stuff this head a little bit and then we'll have a better idea. Try to make sure this neck is stuffed pretty good because we put a crap ton of hair on the head, so it will make it a little bit heavy. Now it's not long hair, it's short hair, but it will still make the head a little heavier than it's supposed to be. So we're doing just a few more rows to finish this head up. This isn't going to be the end of it, but the rest of this up here is going to be all wig cap and hair. So stuff it as good as you want. Make sure this is at the back for putting our eyes in the front. Just need a little bit more. So nice and round. So starting from your 2 single crochets in each stitch, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11 is where I put my eyes last time. But I've changed the pattern a little bit. So I think I'm going to go between 9 and 10. Actually, if you count, where's my 2 single crochets? My 2 single crochets are right here. Let me count this again. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, 10 and 11. Yeah, so somewhere around here for the eyes. Now I'm just going to stick an eye in just to mark my row. But she has white behind her eye. So I have a piece of white felt. And I'm going to make a couple of circles with. Now make them big. You can always trim them back. Make it round. I can trim mine after. So fold it in half and put a little slit in it, both ways. Make sure it's in the middle. You can put your eye in there. And then do your trimming. So I want quite a bit of my white showing, but I do want it to look round. So my last doll, I crocheted both eyes, black and white, and they look horrible in my opinion. So I don't know how many apart. I usually go by the legs, but you don't have legs in here right now. So, great big eyes. That might be alright. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 rows, or 6 stitches apart. So yeah, little triangle nose here. Her tiny little mouth here, and then her eyelashes, and still room for the head. So I think between the 10th, 11th row, 6 stitches apart, I think that's good for me. Now these eyes, oh, I don't know. I ordered a whole kit and they didn't label the sizes, but they're pretty big. Let me see if I can measure them. It is, I mean, they come in millimeters, but I mean, it's literally a half an inch. A half an inch wide. So, if that helps when it comes to figuring out which eyes to use. So, let's finish off this head. Your next round is going to be 1 single crochet and a decrease. So that's 1 single crochet, and then we jump right into our decrease. This will bring it down to 16 stitches. So your next round is going to be 1 single crochet in each of these 16 stitches. I'm sorry, that it's my dog upstairs going nuts. So that's my 16 stitches. So now we're just going to decrease, decrease, decrease. So I want you to just finish stuffing this, whatever you got left. So we're going to decrease, decrease, decrease. All the way around. So that's my first decrease. Not that we need to put a marker on this. Here we go. So you can go in, fasten off, and then stick whatever you want to stick up here. It doesn't matter what the top looks like because we're putting the wig cap on. I just mainly was doing it for height. So I'm going to finish stuffing this part, and then we can continue. So we're going to cinch up the top. So I want you to go in the front loop of this stitch and out the front loop of the next stitch, all the way around. You only have 8 stitches, so. And then pull. Again, it doesn't matter what it looks like because there's going to be a big cap, so make some knots. These big head needles are great, but sometimes not so great. So, I have some of this 2-weight cotton, and it is super thin. And that's what I use to do her mouth and her eyelids, her eyelashes, her eyebrows, and her nose and mouth. Did I say that? So that's what I'm going to use to do her face, which we're going to do now. And then we'll get on to the other important parts. So I'm going to start with the nose because it's probably the biggest thing besides the eyes on her face. So if you don't have any of this, then I don't, just I'm gonna have to figure out what to do. But I think using just regular yarn, like I have this Craft Smart Red that I'm using in the project, but I think it's just a little too thick to be using for her face. So we're gonna start with the triangle is upside down, so the pointy part is at the top. So we want it to be as close to here as possible. So I'm just gonna go in, find a spot to pop out, leave some hanging out. So of course we want to start off with only a couple of stitches for the point. So so this isn't the point, obviously. This is where I start because I can get into those stitches. To do the point, I have to pick up just these pieces of yarn. So that's my nose. It might be too big. I'm gonna see. I'm gonna do my other face parts and then see if it's gonna be too big. Well, I just looked up a picture. I'm gonna leave this for now. I just looked up a picture of her. And I don't know. We'll see if it's too big or not. Let's continue with the face. Well, I can fit in 3. I can't fit in 4. So the mouth is split. I'm going to go to the corner of the nose and go back up here to make my side of my mouth. And I'll go mid eyeball over here. To about the corner of the mouth, or oh gosh, the nose. I'm not sure if that's even. It's so hard to tell. Anyway, I'm not going to fret about it. I go up here and make my eyebrows. I'm not sure how much of the eyebrows you're going to see once everything's kind of on. Okay, well that's what I got going on with the face so far. And I need a little piece of red to do this slit in the mouth. There has to be a space. Might look more like Raggedy Ann after the wig cap and everything is on. I don't know. I might come up and do that red again just so it's a little bit thicker. Go over it twice. Something like that. I'm going to leave these all. I'm not going to do anything with these yet until I get the wig cap on and see how everything's going to look. And hopefully I don't have to pull my nose out. So let's move on to something a little bit easier. Arms and legs. So get some black. We'll do the legs. I want you to make a slip knot and chain 7. I want you to get a slip or a stitch counter. So you can kind of follow along with me. When you see brackets on my channel, it means a special sequence, the same space, or the count. And you'll know the difference. So I want you to do in this first stitch 2 single crochets in the same space. Now you'll see that written with brackets, and you'll know that means the same space, because the sequence would be 1 single crochet increase, or 2 times. That'll be a sequence. This is just stitches in the same space. So after the first stitch, that's when your marker goes. Oh, I put my marker on the wrong stitch. Your marker goes on the first stitch you made. And now I want you to do 4 single crochets. And in your last stitch, we're going to do 4 single crochets. Now I want you to follow this curve. It'll start to curve around, and I want you to go with it. So it curves to the left. Pull your stitch, or slip knot. Words are hard, apparently. Right next to your slip knot, you're going to make sure you get into that stitch, and you're going to do 4 single crochets. I'm just weaving in this tail at the back, just so I can snip it off when I'm done. So you should have 1 stitch left, and I want you to put 2 single crochets in that space. So I'm going to snip this off. So round number 2, we're going to start with 2 single crochets in the same space. Yarn splitting. So after the first stitch, that's when your marker goes on there. Stitch number 2 can go in that same space. And then this next stitch will get 2 single crochets as well. Now I want you to do 4 single crochets. And now you're going to have, you have 5 stitches here at the top. You have 4 stitches here at the top. 2, 3, 4. Apparently I don't know how to count either. Words are hard and counting is hard. You have 4 stitches here at the top. I want you to put 2 half double crochets in each. And now I want you to do 4 single crochets. And then these last 2 stitches get 2 single crochets in each space. So it's just a copy of what we did on the other side, just backwards. You should have 24 stitches. Going into our back loops for this round, these guys, you're going to do 1 single crochet in each back loop for 24 stitches. So that's my 24th stitch. I'm just going to flip this around, and this is what you should have. So your next round is going to start with 7 single crochets. That's my 7 single crochets. So now you'll see in brackets 1 single crochet decrease 3 times. Now that's a special sequence and that's why it's in brackets. So we're going to do 1 single crochet decrease 3 times. So it's 1 single crochet and then a decrease. Once. 1 single crochet and a decrease 2 times. 1 single crochet and a decrease 3 times, and 8 single crochets back to your marker. So I should have 21 stitches. Your next round we're going to start with 7 single crochets. That's my 7 single crochets. And now we're going to decrease 4 times. So decrease 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, and 6 single crochets back to your marker. So now you should have 17 stitches, and that's your little footsie coming together. Your next round is going to start with 6 single crochets. That's number 1. That's 6 single crochets, and now you're going to do a decrease 3 times. 3 decreases. 1, 2 decrease, 3 decrease, and now 5 single crochets back to your marker. So you should have 14 stitches. We can put some stuffing in this. So that's your little footsie. You should have 14 stitches. For the next 5 rows, you're just going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 14 stitches, and then we're going to switch to red, and that's when we're going to start our stripes. So I'll see you on the other side. This is my 14th stitch. So I'm going to change to red. So I'm going to finish that stitch with my red. So it's okay to cut your black off because we're not going back to it. But when we switch to white, you got to keep your red attached. So if you do color changes like me, just letting you know. So I'm going to put some stuffing in mine. And then we'll get to doing these stripes. Alright, let's start these stripes. So we start with red. And we do 1 single crochet around. So 14 stitches. So this is my 14th stitch, so I'm going to switch to white. So we add our white, but we're not going to do the usual tie a knot thing because I need them both attached. So we're just going to let our red hang there. We're not weaving it in. But make sure you pull the stitch tight. And then with white, we're going to do 14 single crochets. So this is my 14th stitch. So I'm going to go to my red on this last stitch and then let the white just kind of hang there. And that's all we're going to do. And we only do it for a few rows. So we're on round 14. We're going to do red for 14 stitches. This is my 14th stitch again. Switch to white. Just let the red hang there. Just kind of pull the stitch tight like I said before. And then with white, 14 single crochets. Okay, well, I'm not sure where my camera turned off, but I think you get the gist of what we're doing anyway. Back and forth, back and forth. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rounds. Alright, so my camera died twice. It never gives you any warning when it goes to die. It just dies. So, like I was saying, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm on round 7, which is my round 18 on the PDF. Coming up around to change to my white. And this is the last round of the stripes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is 8. So if you have to get caught up because things went awry with my battery, then I'm starting round 8. I'm going to weave in my red on this row, the whole entire row. just so it doesn't look stupid, part of it being thicker than the other part. You can also just cut a long tail off, I suppose, and just drop it down inside the boot, but I'm just going to weave my last row. So now this last round here with white on my last stitch, I am going to change to my skin color. And that's when the red can get cut off. And then we can stuff it. So I'm on my last stitch right here. First I'm going to cut the red off. And then I'm going to grab my skin color. Get this red out of the way. Tie my regular knots so I can cut everything off. There we go. So now with my skin color, I'm going to put in my first stitch with my marker. But I'm not going to do anything, I just want to secure that stitch. And then I'm going to stuff it. I just need to make sure I'm stuffing it like my other leg. Yes, I think so. I've already made leg number 1. You guys haven't made leg number 1. Either one, it just gets fastened off both legs because we just sewed the legs on. Because that's how Raggedy Ann doll works. Their legs are sewn on. So for the next 7 rows, you still have 14 stitches. For the next 7 rows, you're just going to continue to put 1 single crochet in each of these 14 stitches. And then you can fasten off. That'll be it for the leg. So that's my 7 rows. I'm going to fasten off the sewing tail. And finish stuffing this guy. This is getting whip stitched, so I'm actually going to take some out. And it gets sewn under the body. So I'm not going to stuff it all the way to the top. So I'm going to put the pattern for the other leg up on the screen. Go ahead and make your second leg. And I will meet you right back here to get the arms done. So this is the arm. We're going to make this thumb first. It gets crocheted on, and then we can build the arm. So the thumb is very, very small. We're going to do a magic ring of 4 single crochets. Come back down here. For the next 2 rows, I'm just going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 4 stitches. So if you're not really familiar where your stitches are, then I would use a stitch marker. I'm just going to count to 4, tie this in a knot back here, and then do my other 4 stitches. So that's my 2 rows. You can fasten off. So the only sewing tail you need is to sew it to the hand. So that is it. That's your tiny little thumb. So we can start the hand. So you're going to start with a magic ring of 6 single crochets, or a chain 2, and then the 6 single crochets goes into the first stitch. Your next round is going to be 2 single crochets in each stitch, giving you 12 stitches. So I'm just going to count to 12. So I'm going to pull my middle close. I'm going to weave it in at the back. And my next round is going to be 3 single crochets and an increase. Only because I wanted, you know, a small increase. That's why I didn't do 1 single crochet increase. So 3 single crochets and an increase. That's number 1 is your marker. That's my 3 single crochets. So the next stitch will get the increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. So this will bring it up to 15 stitches. So for the next 3 rows, you're going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 15 stitches, and then we're going to sew our thumb on. So that's my 3 rows. So I'm going to sew my thumb on. I'll only use a couple of stitches to do this. And I sew it on like right by where I am. Fuzzies. But you can sew it on anywhere. You can sew it on over here. You can sew it on over here. I'm just going to sew it on here. using 2 stitches. So now that your thumb is sewn on, our next round is just going to be 1 single crochet in each stitch, and your magic number is 16. So I'm just going to pop over here into the thumb. I'm not using my sew spots. So 16 stitches, that was my number 1. I was already on it. I hate when you get knots like this from the manufacturer. So that's my 16 stitches. We're going to decrease the next round, and then we're going to put a little bit of stuffing in it. We're trying to get stuffing in this thumb too. So your next round is just going to start with 1 single crochet, so put your marker on that. And then you're going to do an SC2 tog 2 times. I can get in here. So I'm using my front loops just because I don't want the big spaces. So that's a decrease 1 time, and then another decrease. So that's just right around the thumb. And we're going to do it on the other side of this hand as well. We're just shaping the hand. So now I just want you to do 4 single crochets across. And then I want you to do decrease 2 times again. So decrease and a decrease and 3 single crochets to your marker. Which gives you 12 stitches. So your next round is going to be 1 single crochet in each of these 12 stitches. So that was the wrist. So now we're going to increase for the arm to make the arm the same size as the leg, pretty much. So we're going to do 3 single crochets and an increase. So number 1. That's 3 single crochets, and then your next stitch will get the increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. So you're only going to do this 3 times, so you get 2 more times. So now that we're at 15 stitches, for the next 13 rounds, I want you to just put 1 single crochet in each of these 15 stitches. And I will see you on the other side. Now don't forget to stuff as you go. I need to be on the side so I can whip stitch it like this. So a little more stuffing, I think. So I'm going to put the pattern up for my second arm. And you can go ahead and make your second arm. Just try to stuff it to be the same size. And I will meet you right back here. So I'm just sewing on my appendages now. So as far as your legs go, I would just sit your doll down and then put the body on top to figure out where you want your legs to be, and then sew them on accordingly. That's where my one leg is, so like I'm 4 and 5 rows from the magic ring, which is right there. So if that's helpful, I'm going to sew mine right together. So I'm going to go down into my corner, and I'm going to pop out in the same spot that I popped out with my other one. I did not sew the front because that's what a Raggedy Ann doll actually looks like. Floppy little, actually there's probably more stuffing in my legs on this doll than there is an actual Raggedy Ann doll. So I've come out into the same hole. I'm going to tie these together in a loose single knot and a tight second knot, and then weave it down. And then our arms, that's my one arm. So your arms are going to, I'm going to zoom out a little bit for this. Your arm's going to stick up a little bit. I should have maybe not put so much stuffing in there, but just make sure your thumbs point out from the body. And it's basically going to go up right to the neck. I left a little bit of room because we're putting a shirt on up here, so I left a little bit of space. I'm not getting rid of my all this stuff from my face, not until I do the wig cap and the wig and see what the face looks like before I cut all that off, just in case I want to change anything. Not that I couldn't just take it out anyway, but the pieces would be shorter, and I don't want that because I'll just reuse the same piece. So that's why those are all still hanging there. So, arms and legs are on. So, let's get the wig cap done. And then we can get all the hair put on, and then we can make the clothes. So, get whatever red color you're using for your project. So this is going to come out a little bit bigger than the head for me. I don't know about you, whatever yarn you're using, but this is actually thicker yarn than my worsted skin color. So mine will come out a little bit bigger, but I did actually make it the same size as the head. So you're going to do a magic ring of 8 single crochets. Your first round is going to be 2 single crochets in each stitch around, giving you a total of 16 stitches. The marker's always number 1. So that's my 16 stitches. You can pull this closed as much as you can. Doesn't really matter what the top of the wig cap looks like because there's going to be hair on it. So your next round is going to be 1 single crochet and an increase. I'm going to weave in my tail. This will bring it up to 24 stitches. It's 1 single crochet and then my increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. And repeat. So your next round is going to be 2 single crochets and an increase, and this will bring it up to 32 stitches. That's number 1, that's number 2, and then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. So this is what you should have. So for the next 2 rows, and the only reason I stuck these 2 rows in before my rest of my increases because I just kind of want to start cupping it. So for the next 2 rows, I just want you to put 1 single crochet in each of these 32 stitches. So that's my 2 rows. It should start cupping like this. So your next increase round is going to be 3 single crochets and an increase, and this will bring you down to 40 stitch, or bring you up to 40 stitches. The head we did originally was 48. Excuse me. That's 3 single crochets, and then your next stitch gets the increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. So for the next 2 rows, you're just going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 40 stitches. So one last increase and our wig cap is going to be done. So this is 4 single crochets and an increase. This brings you up to the 48 stitches that our head is. Oh, that's my wig cap. And now I fill this all with hair. Now my hair is going to be super short, but when I first initially put it in, it's a little on the longer side, and then I just cut it to be all raggedy. I do not brush my hair out. My hair just stays raggedy looking. So get something, a cell phone, an iPad, something to wrap. So using big monster scissors, we're going to cut that. Pull that out. So to attach this hair, you can start anywhere you want. You're going to pick up a post. You're going to take your hair and you're going to fold it in half. You're going to put it on the end of your hook and you're going to pull that through and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull that through. And that is how we attach all of our hair. And she has a full head of raggedy old hair. And yes, it is time consuming. So I will go work on mine. You go work on yours. And we'll meet back when we're all raggedy enough. So that's our hair. Once you have all the hair on, you just have to give her a haircut. I don't know if I'm gonna much. I might cut it back here. I don't think my nose is too big now that I have the hair on. So, moving on to clothes. So, we can get the pantaloons done, and then we can do the blue shirt, and then we'll just leave the dress for last, because that's literally the last thing that goes on. And then we're going to be done this gal. So, this is built flat, and then we just sew it together, and we even sew the crotch together. Like, we figure out our legs just by putting it on the doll, and then sewing in between. So I made it as simple as possible. So I might have to check this chain that I made originally for with my first video, because my doll is a different size. But my first doll, I said to chain 49, which is, we're going to be doing this in half double crochet. So we actually skip 2 and we go back. So I didn't do a +2. So you're actually only going to have 47 stitches to work. But chain 49 and then wrap it around your doll. I'm going to meet you back here and we'll do that together. That's my 49th stitch, and I think it's going to be too big for my doll, because my doll, like I said, is smaller. But you never know. Oh, it's not that bad, actually. 49 stitches works out without me pulling and making it tight. So that's not bad. So I want you to skip this stitch and this stitch and go into this stitch with a half double. You're going to do a half double crochet all the way back up. So I'm going to yarn under just to make it a little bit tighter for me, so I don't want her pants falling down all the time. But if you need to make it bigger, go ahead and just add some extra chains. This pattern is easy peasy, so you can add or remove whatever you want to. So I'm at the other end. I'm going to chain. I'm just going to chain one. I'm only doing a half double crochet. I'm going to take my little straggler here and I'm going to weave it in. For the next 11 rows, you're just going to do one half double crochet in each stitch. And then when I meet you back, we're going to put them on and figure out where to sew the crotch up and do all that snazzy stuff. So I'm just weaving in my tail on the other side. So this is my 11 rows. You can fasten off this part. Fasten off this part and I'm gonna lose my voice. We're gonna put it on the doll and find out where our crotch is, and then we're gonna sew this together. Red fuzzy. I'm gonna sew this together, and then, well, we'll sew this together first, and then we'll find out where our crotch is. There's no turning it inside out because we worked both sides. So you should have 2 stitches per row, if that helps at all. I'm just weaving in my ends. So we're going to put this on the doll, and we're going to see where the crotch is going to be. And then we're going to sew that up. And then we can build the legs once we determine all of that. So I'm just going to keep mine inside out. This is where I weaved. But if I'm going to sew a crotch up, it's just going to be inside out. Because now it's actually got a front and a back. So it doesn't have to go that far up. Like, you want your pantaloons to hang down to at least your stockings, or just a little above your stockings, like that. So you just need to mark where you need to sew. Now leave a little bit of room for taking the pants on and off, and we just need to sew up this little bit. So that's the way I do it, just because it's easy. Then easier than trying to do math when you know you got to show people how to make clothes for dolls. I just figured that's not actually what my channel's about, so we're just going to do it the easy way instead of probably the right way. So take a piece of yarn and make a slip knot on one end of it. This is the easiest way to attach using a needle. So I'm still inside out, and I'm just gonna sew. So once you go in, you're gonna go through that slip knot and pull, make a knot, and sew up your crotch. So once you're done, now you can turn it around. We're going to reattach here on the bottom. So I'm just going to have my sewing on the side there, and it's going to be under a dress, so it's not like it's going to be really that noticeable. So we're going to take our white and we're going to reattach on the legs. So one leg at a time. I'm just going to start here in the corner. So reattach with whatever you want to reattach with. And you're going to do, for the next 3 rounds, you're going to do 1/2 double crochet. Now, do a 1/2 double crochet into the one you just reattached in. Make sure the 1/2 double crochet goes in there as well. So 1/2 double crochet in each of these. Well, they're stitches, but they're like chained stitches. So that's my leg. We're going to put little frillies on the end. So in your first stitch, you're going to put 3 double crochets. You're going to skip one and put a single crochet into this next stitch. And repeat that all the way around. 3 double crochets, skip one, 1 single crochet. So 3 double crochet into this stitch, skip one, and 1 single crochet. So I'm all the way back around. In this last stitch, you're just going to use it to slip stitch and fasten off. There we go. Oh, our little frilly-legged pantaloon. So you can do the same thing with your other leg. I'll put it all up on my screen, and I will see you on the other side. Alright, so let's get to making this bow. Little bows for her pantaloons. You're going to get your red and you're going to chain 10. Skip one. And do a double crochet all the way back down to the beginning. So that'll be 8 stitches because you've skipped one. And you only had 9 working chains because the 10th one was on your hook. So chain 2, turn your work, and you're going to do 1/2 double crochet, or a double crochet 1 double crochet in each of these 8 stitches. There we go. You can fasten off with a weaving tail, because we're going to use a separate piece to, oops, we're going to use a separate piece to sew with. So both these ends can get tucked away. There's no right or wrong side because we just worked both sides. Okay, so get another piece of red. Now this piece of red is going to be to wrap, to make the bow, and then to sew to the leg, to the pantaloon. So, make a slip knot on one end. I'm going to turn this over because this is going to be my back, this is going to be my front. You got to make sure that this is not going to be at the front. Put that through that. And now I have a back and a front because of where I just I was going to say where I just whip stitched, where I just you know, weaved. Oh my good lord. Words are hard apparently. So find the middle and give it a tie. This will have to get sewn in or cut off. I'm just going to sew it in. I'm going to do a couple of loops. So I'm going to wrap this part so it doesn't really matter. Nobody will see that. Nobody will see it anyway because it'll be sewn to the pants. So just wrap your middle as much as you can without running out of yarn because you need to sew with this. And do it tight because you want these two ends to poke out well. And then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to weave. If you pull tight, it should be tight in here. So I'm just going to do a couple of loops just to hold it there, and then I can sew it to my pantaloons. There. So I'm going to put the pattern on the screen. You can go ahead and make your second bow, sew it on, and I'll meet you right back here. So now that we have our bows on, we can put our pantaloons on our doll. See how it looks. Awesome. That doesn't look too bad. Probably a little higher than it needs to be. There we go. So I think next we could probably do this blue shirt. So I've got my blue, and you're going to start with a chain 41. So you're going to skip one stitch and you're going to go into this next one. We're working in double crochets. You're going to do 39 double crochets back up. So this is my last stitch, and here is where I want you to join to the beginning of this. And you're probably wondering why. I just wanted this open for the head to get over the head easier, but I didn't want this part to be so big to get over the head that it didn't fit right. So I just wanted to leave a little bit of room for slipping on and off. So join and chain 2. We're not building this in amigurumi, we're building this normally. So in your first chain 2 space, that's where I want you to put your first stitch. So your next round is going to be 2 double crochets and an increase. That counts as number 1 that we just put in that chain 2 space. The chain 2 does not count as a stitch. The stitch we put in that space counts as a stitch. So that's, ignore the chain 1 and 2, and then your next stitch will get the double crochet, or the increase, sorry, 2 double crochets in the same space. So you can slip stitch to the top of that first chain and chain 2. Your next round is going to be 3 double crochets and an increase. Your first stitch will be in that chain 2 space. That's 3 double crochets, and then your next stitch will get the increase of 2 double crochets in the same space. And repeat. This should give you a total of 65 stitches. There we go, that's 65 stitches for me. I'm going to slip stitch to the top of this chain, and I'm going to chain 2. So your last round is going to be 4 double crochets and an increase, and this will bring it up to 78 stitches. Your first stitch is in that chain 2 space. That's 4 double crochets, and then your increase of 2 double crochets in the same space. And repeat. So you can slip stitch, chain 2, and this is what you should have. So we're going to start making our armholes. So first I want you to do 11 11 double crochets starting in the chain 2 space. There's number 1. That's my 11 double crochets. And now I want you to chain 4 and skip 16. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 14, 16. And in the 17th stitch, start counting again. You're going to do 24. Oh, that should have been a double. 24 double crochets, and this is your first stitch. So this is my 24th stitch. I'm going to chain 4 and I'm going to skip 16. And in the 17th stitch, I'm going to put a double crochet, starting my count as number 1. I'm going to do 11. This is my 11th stitch. I'm going to slip stitch and chain 2. So we just made our armholes. That's what those are, our armholes. So we're going to start with 11 double crochets. So the first one goes into this chain 2 space. That's my 11 double crochets. Now, in this space, we're going to do 6 double crochets in the space. We don't have to try to get into these stitches because there's only 4 of them. And I want to put 6 double crochets into this space. So, just into the whole space. Which benefits us later because we have to move these around to do decreases in between them. So that's my 6 doubles. And now you're going to do 24 double crochets back around to the other arm and do the same thing. Alright, so now we're back around to the other arm, and we have to do 6 double crochets in this space. And 11 double crochets back to your marker. This is my 11th stitch, and I'm going to slip stitch and chain 2. So starting off in that chain 2 space leaves you with an invisible seam. So this is what you should have. So our next round is just going to be 1 double crochet in each stitch. We should have 58 stitches. Make sure you start in this chain 2 space. That'll be number 1. I should probably add some new yarn, as we've got a couple more rows to go. I always like to use up my little butterfly bobbins first before I get into anything else. So I'm going to slip stitch, chain 2. So your next round is going to be 1 double crochets and an increase. This will bring it up to 87 stitches. That's number 1. Your next stitch gets the increase of 2 double crochets in the same space. And repeat. So you can slip stitch, chain 2, and your final row before we start our arms is just going to be 1 double crochet in each stitch, starting in that chain 2 space. Alrighty, you can slip stitch and fasten off. Just need a weaving tail. So let's weave in first, and then we reattach and do the arms. And we have to do the collar as well. So this is the back, this is the seam, and it's not very noticeable. So that's what you want when you make clothes. Not that these are real clothes, but I mean you want to do the same thing when you make clothes. Because I'm pretty much making this the same way you would make clothes normally, except for the armhole parts. So, these armhole parts, we need to reattach. And then the PDF can be a little bit confusing at this part. I tried to word it the best that I could, but it says to split into 3 sections the 6 double crochets. So these 6 double crochets that we did, we need to split 2, 2, and 2, and we're going to decrease in between there. So start your arm right here before the 6 double crochets. That's where I want you to reattach. So this is where our first 2 double crochets are. So I want you to yarn over. We're going to do double crochet decreases. So yarn over, go in, pull through 2. Move these 2 stitches over and go in between there and finish the decrease. So that's what the PDF means about splitting them into sections. So then you find your next 2 double crochets and you're going to do the same thing. You're going to go in and start a decrease, move over to the other side of these 2 and finish the decrease. So it can be a little bit confusing, but I needed to bring in the armpit. So now we're done down there. I want you to do 16 half double crochet, no, 16 double crochets. So that's my 16 half doubles. And I want you to do the same thing. I want you to do half double decrease, another half double decrease, and then we're back to where we started. That's where we started. That's where that stitch right there. So there's only this one stitch left before we get to where I started. So just put a double crochet in there. And then you can slip stitch to where you started and chain 2. Just like that. So we're going to do, starting in this chain 2 space, another half double decrease, two more, double crochet all the way back around. So it's my 15th stitch. I'm going to slip stitch and chain 2. For the next 4 rows, you're just going to put 1 double crochet in each stitch, starting with your chain 2 space, and I will see you on the other side. So that's my 4 rounds done. I'm going to slip stitch and I'm going to chain 2 because I'm going to put ruffles on the end of this sleeve. So you're going to do the same ruffles that we did at the bottom of the pantaloons. You can start in this first stitch, but I'm going to start over here and I'm going to put 3 double crochets into this stitch. So I'm not touching the chain 2 space on this round. So that's 3 double crochets, skip 1, 1 double crochet, or 1 single crochet. Oh my gosh. I wonder how many other times in the video I've done that. This next stitch, 3 double crochets, skip 1, 1 single crochet, and just keep repeating that. So that's I don't have anywhere to do my 1 single crochet, so I'm just going to slip stitch and fasten off. And that is a sleeve for our, fingernail attached to that. So that is our arm sleeve. So, I'm going to weave this in. You can go ahead and make your other sleeve. I will put on my screen what you have to do now that you'll understand when you read it what it means. Sometimes it's really hard to write instructions down for everybody to understand. But that's what that first part means. And I'm talking to PDF users as well, because the same thing will be written in your PDF as what goes on the screen. And that's just splitting into 3 sections of 2 each to do your decrease evenly. So that's what that's all about. So I am just finishing up my frillies on my arm, and we're going to reattach on the neck area and do these frills again, and then this shirt will be done. So we reattach up here at the back though, and we do our frills. We're not covering this, we're going to leave that open. Like I said, it's a lot easier to get it over the head, but reattach right next door. So there's not actual stitches here, it's like a chain. So just get into wherever you can stick your hook and get into. Attach with whatever you want to attach with. So you're going to put a double crochet in there anyway. So I'm going to start with a double crochet in there. My next stitch will be the 3 double crochets. I just didn't want to put a scallop right on the edge. Don't I guess it would really matter, but so 3 double crochets into the next space. Skip a space, which is that one there, and then single crochet. So your spaces are hard to find. Just stick your hook wherever you can stick your hook and do these scalloped tops all the way around to the other side without closing this in. So I started with a double crochet, and in this last stitch I'm going to put a double crochet on this side as well. So both ends start with a double crochet, and that's where we're going to fasten off. We're not closing in this. There we go. So we can stick this away. So it's a little big because my doll's smaller than what she was used to before. And that's a me thing, that's not a you thing. So Her sleeves are a little long. There we go. So, last but not least is her little white dress. Alrighty, let's get our white. So, the beginning of this dress can be a little bit confusing if you're only using the PDF. So, first we start with a chain 51. That's my 51 chains. So I want you to go back to the beginning, slip stitch to join, with a slip stitch, slip stitch to join with a slip stitch, chain 2. So for every single round we're going to go into this chain 2 space just so we don't have any seams. Chain 2 does not count as a stitch, so you're going to put a stitch in that space to make up for that and to cut down on the seam. So we're going to do the scallops right away. The scallops go at the top of the dress, not at the bottom of the dress. So starting in our chain space, we need to put 2 double crochets in there. Well, 3 double crochets because that stitch does not count. The chain 2 doesn't count. So put 3 double crochets in that chain space. You're going to chain 2, skip 1, and repeat. So we're going to do this 10 times. We're not doing it all the way around. So 3 double crochets. Chain 2, skip 1, 3 double crochets. So I am on my last cluster. My 3 double crochets. So I have 10 of these. So you'll see it written in the PDF 10 times. You should have 10 of those. From here you're going to chain 30. So that's my chain 30. So I'm going to skip 6 stitches, 2, 4, and 6. And then stitch number 7 I'm going to reattach with a double crochet. But I'm going to put 2 more in there because I'm going to start my clusters again. And it'll start with this stitch. So put 2 more double crochets into that same space. Chain 2. And do 10 more clusters. Skip 1. This is my 10th cluster. So from here I'm going to chain 30. So that's my 30 stitches. I'm going to skip 6, 2, 4, and 6, which is skip all the stitches you have left. And then you're going to slip stitch to the top of that chain. So this, let's try to make heads or tails out of it. This is what you should have. Get that out of the way. Something like that. So now you're going to see it in the PDF users. The chain 3 and turn upside down. So these are at the top. So we need to actually get into the chain down here at the bottom. We need to start building from here down. So we're going to chain 3 and then we're going to flip this. The chain 3 is what gives us the height to work on the other side of our initial chain. So the only reason I do the chain 3 is to turn. So chain 3, and then flip it. And we're going to start getting into these. So slip stitch to the other side. So you've got this chain here. Go into this next stitch. It might be a little awkward because it's our chain from before. And slip stitch. This was our slip knot right here from where we started the chain. So I'm just going to weave in this little piece of yarn. So chain 2. That was difficult to write in the PDF. I didn't know how to word that. And that's all I wrote for round 3. That's basically just that. Chaining 3, turning it upside down. And round 4 now is going to be 1 double crochet in each stitch. So that's starting in this chain space. Because again, we don't want to seam. So it's going to be very difficult to probably work into the back. Just take your time and you should have 51 stitches. This is my 51 stitch. So I'm going to slip stitch to the top of this first chain that I did. And I'm going to chain 2. So I'm going to snip this off because I weaved it in a little bit. And this is what you should have. So these are the armholes and your frills are at the top of the dress. So we start building down this way from here. So we're going to increase our next round. You should have 51 stitches. We're going to use the chain 2 space, don't forget. We're going to do 2 double crochets and an increase. So that's number 1 in the chain 2 space. That's number 2, and then our increase. So 2 single crochets in the same space. And repeat. This will bring it up to 68 stitches. So slip stitch to the top of this chain, chain 2. We're going to increase again. We're going to do 3 double crochets and an increase, and this will bring you up to 85 stitches. So your first stitch goes in the chain 2 space. It's number 1. That's 3 double crochets, and then your increase of 2 double crochets in the same space. And repeat. So slip stitch to the top of that chain and chain 2. So your last increase round is going to be 4 double crochets and an increase, and this will bring it up to 102 stitches. So starting in that chain 2 space, that's number 1. That's 4 double crochets and then your increase. So I'll slip stitch to the top of this chain. Oops. Chain 2. So for the next 5 rows, you're just going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 102 stitches, and I will see you on the other side. Don't forget, each row starts with a double crochet in that chain 2 space. So this is just the end of my 5 rows. You can slip stitch to the top of that chain and you can fasten off. You don't need anything this long. This was just the end of the roll that I had, so I just pulled it all through. You just need a weaving tail. And that is it. So, some pictures show her with bows on her dress as well, but I'm going to tell you right now, the original Raggedy Ann doll, I don't recall there being bows on her dress, so that's just been added throughout the years. And that's it. That's our Raggedy Ann Haunted Annabelle doll. So this is, again, a remake of a video that I already did that I didn't like because it was too light. The footage was horrible. It was with my old camera, and I never used background, so it was hard to see and stuff like that. So that's why I redid the video. Just in time for Halloween for you guys. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you in the next video.